In the dead of night, under the light of a full moon, King Adebo stood in the middle of the dark forest, his heart pounding in his chest. He had just placed the sacrificial offering on the ground as instructed by the oracle when he heard a soft rustle behind him. Turning slowly, his breath caught in his throat. The village of Aboru, once known for its fertile lands and vibrant youth, was in the grip of a terrible crisis. Famine had swept through the land, drying up crops and leaving the people hungry and desperate. Worse still, an unseen plague seemed to strike down the village's young men and women, claiming their lives in the prime of youth. No one could understand why this calamity had befallen them, and fear gripped the hearts of all who remained. The village elders gathered in the king's palace, their faces filled with worry. King Adebo sat on his throne, deep lines of concern etched on his face. King Adebo, with a heavy sigh, my people are suffering, and I am powerless to stop it. We have prayed, made offerings, but nothing changes. What more can we do? The gods are angry, Your Majesty. We must consult the oracle. It is the only way to know what has caused this terrible fate to befall us, one of the elders said. Another elder, nodding in agreement, the signs are clear. The gods demand something of us, but we are blind to their will. Reluctantly, King Adebo agreed to consult the oracle, though he feared the answer. The oracle was known to demand great sacrifices, and the king was not sure he had anything left to give. The journey to the oracle's shrine was long and perilous, but King Adebo, accompanied by his most trusted advisors, made the trek. The shrine lay deep in the heart of the forest, hidden from view by thick trees and undergrowth. When they finally arrived, the air felt different, heavy with an ancient power that sent shivers down the king's spine. The oracle, an old woman with sightless eyes, sat cross-legged in the center of the shrine. She did not speak as the king approached, but her milky white eyes followed him as though she could see every inch of him. Oracle, with a voice like dry leaves rustling, you seek answers for your village's suffering. King Adebo, kneeling before her, yes, great oracle. The youth of my village are dying, and our lands are barren. What have we done to anger the gods? Oracle, swaying slightly as she speaks, the gods demand a sacrifice. You must go alone into the forest under the light of the full moon. There, you will make an offering. But beware, King Adebo, for the first person you meet after the sacrifice must pray for you and your village, or the curse will never be lifted. The king's heart raced at the oracle's words. Who would he meet in the forest at such a late hour? And what would happen if no one was there to offer the prayer? King Adebo, with determination, I will do as the gods command. But tell me, what offering must I make? Oracle, whispering, you will know when the time comes. Under the light of the full moon, King Adebo walked deep into the forest, alone, as the oracle had instructed. The forest was eerily quiet, save for the soft rustling of leaves in the wind. In his hands, he carried a bundle of offerings, fruits, grains, and the finest jewels from the royal treasury. As he walked, he could feel the eyes of unseen forces watching him, and the weight of the oracle's warning pressed heavily on his mind. What if no one appeared after he made the sacrifice? Would his village be doomed? At last, he reached a small clearing bathed in the moonlight. There, he placed the offerings on the ground and spoke a prayer to the gods, his voice trembling slightly in the quiet night. King Adebo, in a low voice, great gods, I offer you these gifts in the hope that you will spare my people. Accept this sacrifice, and lift the curse that plagues my village. As he finished the prayer and turned to leave, his heart nearly stopped. Standing by a tree at the edge of the clearing was the most beautiful young woman he had ever seen. Her skin glowed in the moonlight, and her eyes, dark and mysterious, seemed to hold secrets that no mortal could understand. King Adebo, though startled by the woman's sudden appearance, felt a strange pull toward her. She stood quietly, her gaze locked on him, as though she had been waiting for him all along. King Adebo, stepping toward her, "Who are you? And what are you doing in the forest at this hour?" The woman smiled, a soft, knowing smile. "Abini," her voice soft but strong, "who I am is not important. The real question is, why are you here, King Adebo?" The king, realizing that she must have heard his prayer, hesitated for a moment before answering. King Adebo, lowering his voice, "I came to offer a sacrifice to the gods, to save my village from famine and death. The oracle said the first person I meet must pray for me and my people, and you are that person." For a long moment, the woman said nothing, her dark eyes studying the king's face. "Abini," after a pause, "very well. I will pray for you and your village." She bowed her head, and in the quiet of the night, she whispered a prayer. Her words, though soft, seemed to carry power, and King Adebo felt a strange warmth spread through him as she spoke. When she finished, the king breathed a sigh of relief. "King Adebo, grateful or thank you. You have done a great service to my people. What is your name, so that I may repay you for your kindness?" "Abini," smiling again, "my name is Abini. But I ask for no repayment. The gods have heard my prayer. Your village will be saved." As she turned to leave, the king, captivated by her beauty and grace, called out to her once more. King Adebo, pleading, "Wait. You have done so much for me and my village. Please, let me repay you in some way. I would offer you a place in my palace, as my queen." Abini turned back to face the king, her expression unreadable. "Abini," with a hint of sadness in her voice, "you are kind, King Adebo, but I cannot accept your offer. My place is not in the palace, and I am not what I seem." The king, confused by her words, pressed further. "King Adebo, desperate, please, Abini. You saved my village. You are brave and beautiful, and I feel drawn to you in a way I cannot explain. I would be honored to have you as my wife." Abini hesitated, looking away as though struggling with some internal conflict. After a long moment, she spoke again, her voice quiet but firm. "Abini, very well, King Adebo. I will tell you the truth. I am not like other women. I have a secret, one that I have kept hidden for a long time. If you still wish to marry me after hearing it, then I will accept your offer." The king, eager to win her hand, nodded without hesitation. King Adebo, confident, "There is nothing you could say that would change my mind." Abini smiled sadly and stepped forward. As she did, her body began to shimmer and change. Before the king's astonished eyes, she transformed into a graceful deer, her fur gleaming silver in the moonlight. For a moment, she stood in her animal form, before shifting back into her human shape. "Abini," quietly, "this is who I am, King Adebo. A creature of the forest, neither fully human nor fully beast. I turn into a deer under the moonlight and return to my human form by morning." The king, though shocked by the revelation, found himself even more captivated by her. "King Adebo, determined, your secret changes nothing. You are still Abini, the woman who saved my village. I still wish to marry you, and I promise never to reveal your secret to anyone." True to his word, King Adebo married Abini in an elaborate ceremony that lasted several days. The village of Abor rejoiced, for with the marriage came prosperity. The crops grew plentiful, the youth of the village were no longer struck by illness, and peace settled over the land. Abini, though mysterious, was beloved by the people. Her beauty and grace won the hearts of all who met her, and the village prospered under her quiet guidance. However, every night, as the moon rose, she would slip away from the palace, returning in the early hours of the morning. No one knew where she went, but the king, true to his word, never questioned her or revealed her secret. For many years, the village of Aboru flourished. Abini bore the king 2 children, a son and a daughter, both as beautiful and mysterious as their mother. The villagers often whispered about the queen's strange nature, but no one dared speak ill of her, for under her reign, the village was blessed. One fateful night, however, everything changed. King Adebo, though he had promised never to reveal Abini's secret, grew restless as the years went by. His curiosity gnawed at him, and he began to wonder if keeping such a secret was wise. What if the people found out on their own? What if the neighboring kingdoms discovered the truth? Would they see it as a weakness? One evening, after a particularly difficult meeting with his advisors, the king, in a moment of frustration, blurted out Abini's secret to his closest confidant, a man named Arogbo. King Adebo, with regret as soon as the words left his mouth, "Abini is not like us. She is a creature of the forest, a deer by moonlight and a woman by day." Arogbo's eyes widened, but he said nothing, merely nodding in understanding. The king, realizing the weight of what he had done, immediately regretted his words, but it was too late. Word of Abini's true nature spread quickly through the village, despite the king's attempts to contain it. Soon, rumors of the queen's strange transformation reached the ears of other kingdoms, and whispers of witchcraft and dark magic filled the air. Abini, sensing the shift in the villagers' attitudes toward her, confronted the king one night as he sat alone in the palace. "Abini," her voice filled with sadness, "you promised, Adebo. You promised never to reveal my secret, and now it has spread like wildfire. The people no longer look at me with love, but with fear." The king, ashamed of his actions, bowed his head. King Adebo, pleading, "I never meant for it to happen, Abini. I was angry, and I spoke without thinking. Please, forgive me." But Abini, her heart heavy with betrayal, shook her head. "Abini," with a soft but firm voice, "the bond between us has been broken, Adebo. I cannot stay where I am no longer trusted." With those words, she turned and walked out of the palace, disappearing into the night. The king called after her, but she did not return. In the days that followed, the village of Aboru once again began to suffer. Crops withered, sickness returned, and the prosperity that had blessed the land for so long vanished as quickly as it had come. The king, desperate to undo the damage he had caused, searched the forest for Abini, but she was nowhere to be found. The people of Aboru, realizing the loss of their queen, begged the king to bring her back, but he had no power to do so. Years passed, and the village of Aboru continued to struggle. King Adebo, now an old man, spent his days in regret, longing for the day Abini would return. One evening, as he sat by the palace gates, a soft breeze carried a familiar scent, the scent of the forest and wildflowers. Looking up, the king saw a figure approaching from the shadows. It was Abini, her form as radiant as the day he had first met her. King Adebo, his voice trembling, "Abini, you've returned." Abini, with a gentle smile, "I never truly left, Adebo. I have watched over you and our children from afar, waiting for the right time to return." The king, tears streaming down his face, fell to his knees. King Adebo, weeping, "I have wronged you, Abini. I broke my promise, and I have paid the price. The village suffers because of my betrayal. Please, forgive me. I beg you, return to us and restore the land." Abini, moved by the king's heartfelt apology, placed a hand on his shoulder. "Abini, softly, I forgive you, Adebo. But know this, the bond of trust must be earned again. I will stay and help restore the village, but you must honor the promises you make." The king, filled with hope and gratitude, nodded. King Adebo, determined, "I will not fail you again." With Abini's return, the village of Aboru slowly began to heal. The crops grew once more, and the people's spirits were lifted. The king, now wise with age, ruled with fairness and humility, never again allowing his pride to cloud his judgment. Abini, though still a creature of the forest, remained by the king's side, her presence a constant reminder of the power of forgiveness and the importance of keeping one's word. And so, the village of Aboru thrived once more, not because of the king's power or wealth, but because of the love and trust that had been restored between its people and their queen. As the years passed, the story of King Adebo and Abini became a legend, told to children around the village's fire each night. It was a tale of love, betrayal, and redemption, a reminder that trust is the foundation of all relationships, and that forgiveness, when given freely, can heal even the deepest wounds. King Adebo lived the rest of his days in peace, knowing that he had been given a second chance, a chance to honor his promises and cherish the bond he had nearly lost. And as for Abini, the mysterious queen of Aboru, she remained a beloved figure in the village's history, her legacy living on in the hearts of all who remembered her as the woman who saved their land not once, but twice. Moral of the story: trust, once broken, can be difficult to restore, but with forgiveness, patience, and a sincere heart, even the deepest wounds can heal.